I'm joined now by Malcolm Harrison, CEO of the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply. Malcolm, many thanks for joining us today. Clearly, the supply chain has been hugely impacted by the coronavirus. How have industries reacted, and have some been impacted more than others?
Yeah, thanks, Sharon. It's good to be here. You're absolutely right that different sectors have been affected very differently, and it's all about the impact on demand. So think about some organizations that work in hospitality or travel. Their demand has just gone away. Think about healthcare, dramatic increases in demand, or think about anything that's purchased online. There's been huge increases in demand, and all of that has really impacted on supply chains. So it's those businesses that have been perhaps more agile, more creative, more innovative that have done best. Long, lean supply chains are very cost effective, they're very efficient, and they're not very agile. And I think what people have realized at a time like this is you need supply chains that are truly robust and resilient.
How far has the pandemic really highlighted the importance of procurement and supply?
I think the impact on the profession has been pretty significant. If you think about CPOs and chief procurement officers, chief supply chain officers, the more of them I talk to, they tell me they've never been in such demand, and frankly, their credibility has risen significantly. And that's probably because most businesses discovered that many of the challenges that they had in the pandemic were in their supply chains. And you need the professionals to be able to manage that supply chain. And it was very often procurement and supply professionals that had to come up with the solutions to some of the challenges that businesses were being impacted by. So, yes, this has become a boardroom topic of conversation now, and you find more and more procurement and supply professionals being involved in the strategic decision making of those businesses, which is then allowing businesses to leverage the value that procurement can bring. And some of the actions that we've seen coming out of this have been very much around understanding not just how you can manage your own liquidity and manage your own cash, but also looking at your supply chain. I mean, there's no good sort of making sure you're in a really good place, only for your supply chain to let you down. So what we found is procurement and supply professionals really putting time into understanding the financial health of their suppliers.
With companies' attentions now really turning to redesigning supply chains, rethinking operations, thinking obviously still about the bottom line, do you think ethics and sustainability could be somewhat compromised a little?
There's a perception that sustainability or initiatives around sustainability cost money. I'm not sure that's true. I think good sustainability decisions are good business decisions. Think about reducing your consumption of water, reducing the amount of electricity you use, or reducing the waste that comes out of your business. And those are all good sustainability decisions, and they all save money as well. I think what we will see, though, is differences between different businesses. So think of consumer-facing businesses. You find sustainability is very much in the DNA of those customers, and really because increasingly consumers are in part taking their purchasing decisions based on the approach of that brand owner to ethics and sustainability. And I don't think you're going to see that change. And if anything, you might see more of an acceleration in terms of focus, particularly on sustainability and addressing climate change. There might be some other businesses that find themselves in a more short-term focused way of thinking and are more focused on conserving cash. I think that's unfortunate because at the end of the day, I think that focus on sustainability and ethics is absolutely what society is looking for today.
Looking to the future now, where do you think procurement leaders should really be focusing their attention and their efforts? And where can we rebalance skills to really address these challenges?
Yeah, Sharon, I think you're going to see different things on different timescales. So I think initially, what we're going to see is much more of a focus on, I guess, what I'd call sourced for resilience rather than source for cost. And that requires people to think about new sources of supply, maybe a bit more onshoring, a bit more nearshoring, but never losing focus on the fact that value is incredibly important. You see, I would say that resilience and value are completely compatible. Resilience and costs are not necessarily compatible. And then the change that we're going to see in skills is going to be a shift in skills, I think, more towards collaboration, more towards transparency, more towards skilled professionals that can find ways of getting creativity and innovation out of their supply base. But more than anything, we're going to need to make sure that we've got the right people with the right skills in the right job to address the issues that many organizations are facing in terms of their supply chains, which have been hugely impacted by this pandemic.
Malcolm Harrison, many thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.